Hello? Hello? My god. Is that a chat I smell? Oh god, it's a chat! Oh shit. Hello everyone! Welcome, welcome. Welcome in, Hobie! Welcome in! Asmotis. I know you were here last stream. Welcome, welcome. I don't know, am I saying your name right? Please tell me if I'm saying your name right. Welcome in, Yoshi. Welcome, welcome. Hello, welcome in, Rebel Wolf. Welcome, welcome. Hello, is that Dio Senso? Oh my god. What's up, man? Crimson. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in, Shin. How was your day? My day was it was okay, guys. Yesterday I went to like a family gathering, and I'm not even kidding. That was my first outing in like a while, and I got super sick. I got super sick when I came back home. Actually, I was starting to feel sick when I was at the party, like the gathering, the party, and then I was like, God damn, I'm dying, and I thought it was just like allergies hitting me. And then when I got home, I was like dying. I was dying so bad. That's why I didn't stream yesterday. I like took hella cough medicine or like cold medicine, and then I knocked out in bed. And then I woke up feeling even worse, guys. I woke up at like 5 AM, and I was like sweating. And then I took a super hot long shower, and I drank a lot more cold medicine. I feel a lot better now. Yeah, I took drugs. Yeah. Yep. Our stream win. Actually, I think I might do our stream like next week. Yeah, this entire week, I might be like super busy. Because I have plans. Maybe next week. We'll see. We will see. Too much grass touch. Yeah, too much grass touch. Also, guys, you wanna see my Halloween costume? For this stream. So no more inbred Shen, okay? This time I'm a wait, let me damn drugs? What do you mean damn drugs? I'm not doing drugs. Don't die on us. There's no other goat. I'm the goat. Anyways, I am the goat. You guys know you guys know who I am? I'm literally the goat. Yeah, I'm literally the goat. I am literally the goat, okay? We have no, eat the katana. I can't bite it. It's behind my back. we have Luffy here. You know, Luffy is literally the goat. As you can see, he's literally the goat. And then I am the Zoro. Amazing, right, guys? I put like little effort into making this. It's great. It's great. I had so much fun. Yeah, I chose Zoro because, you know, I have green hair. You know, I have green hair, and I thought it would be fun. Yeah, and I got the scar. Yeah, the scar in my eye. I got it too. Yeah, I put so much effort into this. Kind of. I did it in like 10 minutes, but so much effort. It's so funny. I'm like thinking about what I should do for my next stream. What I should dress up as. I don't know though. My first outfit, my first costume was Power from Chainsaw Man, and then I did the inbred goat, and then I'm Zoro right now. I love it. Thank you. Dress up as me? As you? What are you though? You want me to dress up as a fanboy with a wolf? As a wolf? Anyways, guys, today I know I said or that or Snorlax onesie. A Pokemon. How? Maybe I'll think about it. I want it to be funny though, you know? Like punny. Funny. Yep. Okay. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I know. Okay, I know I said I was gonna play the Evil Within, but guys, I really want to play this game. This is like a horror game. It's a short like horror game called, I don't know how you say it, CHUXIE. I've been seeing everyone play it all the time, and I was like, damn, I want to play it because it looks scary. Like it looks actually scary, kind of. I would love a Snorlax onesie. Ooh, nice. Actually, you know, maybe I'll do it. CHUXIE? I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's in Chinese, and I don't speak Chinese. Oh, welcome in, and Picha. Is that boy smell? I smell it. I smell a boy. What is a boy doing here? Welcome in. Oh, is that Itoshi? Is that in Itoshi BTS smell? I smell it. Itoshi. CHUXIE. What's wrong with you, sis? I have no clue, okay? I don't know. Just stop, my door's open by yourself. Nii-chan! What the... what did they say? Chotto matte. Should have stolen drugs. Anyways, how was everyone's day? I forgot to ask. How was all of your guys' day? How's your day, Crimson? How's your day, Yoshi? How's your day, Toshi? How's your day, Rebel Wolf? How's your day, MP? How was everyone's day? Yep. So I feel great. Maybe I'm high, but like... I feel great. Day's doing fine? That's good, that's good. That's great, that's great. Good, lol, gonna have breakfast soon? Breakfast? What are you eating for breakfast? Rebel Wolf? My day's been 7.5 out of 10. That's nice, nice, nice. I would say my day is like a 6.7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4. Yep. That's pretty good though. It's pretty good. It's good just preparing for winter as it's snowing. It's snowing. Guys, you know, I have never seen snow before. Never, ever. Ever before. Like, I live in a valley, but I live like closer to the... Like the Bay Area, like the shore where all the beaches are at, so... We don't get snow here. Like, if I really want to go see snow, I have to like drive up to the mountains, which is like a couple hours drive, which is kind of sad. I've never seen snow before. Boiled egg and toast. Nice, nice. I had boiled eggs this morning. I woke up at like 5 a.m. and boiled eggs were like the only thing I ate. Not today. Like I ate before stream, but in the morning. It's more like fluffy sand. Fluffy sand? Oh my god. This is the longest later I've ever seen. I asked you last Saturday, you said you stream later. Okay, I was gonna stream later, okay? But then like, I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. And like, I fell asleep. And, you know, I was like, I'm just gonna stream today. You know, since I didn't stream Saturday, I might as well stream Sunday. Usually, okay? Usually. Whenever I don't stream on Saturday, I stream. I stream on Sundays. Okay? I was like, thank you for the hip pass! Thank you! Thank you for the bonk. There, it snows where I live tomorrow? Liar? What do you mean, liar? Lucky you have snow. I want to see snow. Okay, I feel like I'm a winter kind of girl. Like, I prefer living in the cold rather than the heat. I freaking hate the heat, guys. America, no snow? Not America. Just like the area where I live. The Bay Area. The Bay Area, the beach area, closer to the shore. Closer to the equator area. Yeah. Snows like thicker sand. Snows like thicker sand. Is it actually? I feel like sand is kind of thick though. Thick. It sounds like I'm saying the D word, but it's kind of thick. Like it's okay. Now I don't want to say it anymore. I don't think you guys understand. Walking on sand is like, I hate it. I hate it. We mostly have snow, rain. I love rain. I love it when it rains. Like, it smells so good outside whenever it rains. It can't just be me, right? Like, I love the smell of, like, rain. I love rain smell. super thick sand. Yes. It's lighter than sand and melts in your hand. Okay, this is okay. I said this before, like in the past, but I was like, the closest I've touched snow is like the frost from the freezer. That's basically snow, right? It's basically snow, right? You know, you can like shape it. You know, you get like the fucking like what do you call that? Freezer, frost. Yeah, basically. No, it's not ice. It's not ice. It's like, yeah. I'm not talking about ice. I'm talking about like when it's like your freezer is like misty, right? And then it gets too cold, and then it start like condensation, you know? And then it creates like these little like frost particles on like the side of the freezer, and then you can like scrape it off, and you can like mush them together into like a little tiny snowball. When you pour it out, now I can hear it. Yeah, the TH word. Yeah. No long walks on the beach. Walking on the beach sucks. Okay, if you want to walk on the beach, you have to like walk like closer to the shore, where like it touches the water, because that's where the sand gets hard, and it's like you can like actually walk on top of it and you don't sink. Man-made snow. Yeah, man-made snow. In Munich. Am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Wolf. Munich? This is enough snow? Come and get some? I would. Can you ship it to me? Sounds like dollar store snow. I mean, it's basically dollar store snow. I don't even think it costs $1. It's free. Just use the... just use like, you know, like splash some water in your freezer. Gonna lick while I work. Have fun on the game. Don't scream too much. Thank you, Toshi. Thank you for the lark. Thank you. Oh yeah, I was watching Itoshi play this game. Like just like a short bit of it, and oh my god, it's so fun. It's so funny. I'm being lucky in your workplace. Oh my god. Munich is the part of Germany where people wear leather pants and eat sausages. Leather pants and eat sausages. Isn't that? I can't imagine it. Why leather pants? Not gonna lie, it's been like I don't think I've ever seen a person wear leather pants. Munich. Oh, it's called Munich. Munich. This is CH in it. Munich. Damn, I hate words. I hate words. So, thank you for the glasses. Thank you. Anyways, okay, should we start? Okay, let's just forget how illiterate I am, and let's play the game. Don't ask me why they wear that. Ah, I see. Okay, we're gonna do new game. Oh my god, ass. Oh. Find a way to the hospital. Am I supposed to have a gun? Oh shit. Yo, the audio is like so delayed. Okay. Please tell me if the audio is like too loud for you guys, because it feels a little loud to me. One gold. Monster also love gold coins, and the world is literally with coins. Oh, littered? I don't know why I said literally. And the world is littered with coins that they have accidentally lost. Ah. I see. I'm gonna go grab cereal. Alright, Fruity Pebbles. Yum, yum. Is there anything else here? They caught me off guard too. Oh my god, oh my god. I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna scream. Do I hear a chicken? Press. Oh, okay. Left rocker, right rocker? What the heck is a rocker? What? Okay. Oh, right trigger button, left trigger button. Oh, this controller? Oh, we're here. Okay. Oh, B later. Huh? Later gold purchase log. Left rocker. What is a rocker? Okay. Book. Bonk. What? Book, motherfucker. Dark Zoro. Oh my god, thank you for the redeem. I am Dark Zoro now. Controlling. Rocker? But I don't even know her. I gave you glasses, they still don't work. Thanks. Oh, wait, is it this? Oh, it's this. Okay. Interaction, fire left mouse button, flashlight T, crouch C, okay. Reload R, oh, right mouse button, W, shift, okay. Shift to run, view weapon Z, left and right side, okay. Got it. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Flashlight. Okay. Not gonna lie, it's been so long since I played a game like this. Why am I breathing so loud? Can I open this? I don't even know her. Damn, you missed the first jump scare? The first jump scare? Where was that? Maybe I'm too jumpy? Oh my god, Itoshi. I just started the game! It's been less than like 5 minutes. No way, there's a jump scare right away. No? Well, I did scream the first 10 minutes. You scream! I thought you didn't get scream. I thought you didn't scream! Okay, my Valorant skills. I did. Oh no, I did not. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Can I open this? No? Oh, gold coin. How do I grab that? Oh. Can I go in here? It's locked! Okay. The big difference between us is really big. Is it? Can you say Valorant? Valorant? L-O-R-E rant? Okay. Oh my god. Wait, the chance just scared me. What the heck? Oh shit. Nice. That's perfect. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Also, this is kind of a puzzle. Let's hope it doesn't take me that long to do the puzzle. What's wrong? Stop knocking, please. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Oh god. This reminds me so much of Cry of Fear. So much. Okay. I got it. MP. Hey now. Have entered into your voice into an AI database. Okay, here. I got this now. Okay. He's gonna show up here. What? Is it because I pressed a different one? What the heck? What the heck? Okay. 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 Which one did I press? I pressed the red one, right? No red, no purple. What if I do yellow? Oh, he's open. Can you aim down sight or is it if I, yeah, I could aim, but it looks like this. It's not that much of a difference. Not that much of a difference. Yeah. Okay. Follow the blood. I think I need to power that. Oh my god.
Right.
Shit. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh my god, look at this really nice Renaissance painting. I love it. Look, it looks really good. Did it fall? Oh my god, it fell. Look at this! Big giant red button? I wonder what would happen if I press on it. Uh-oh. What the heck? How did what? Okay. See, I should have known. You were not supposed to press it. That almost had the timing perfect. Yo, 007 Golden Eye. 007 Golden Eye. Golden Eye sound effects? Is that what it is? Don't know. Oh shit, it fell. Okay. What am I supposed to do here then? If I'm not supposed to... Oh, if I shoot it? No? Oh, I don't think I'm supposed to shoot it. 007? Oh! 007. But I need to power this on though. You owe me a soda? I owe you a soda. Soda these! So, I'm sorry. Okay. What am I supposed to... I don't know what I'm supposed to do! Okay. Am I supposed to go the other way? Find a way to the hospital. Okay. What if I go back? So welcome Boots Riz. Welcome in Riz! Did you change your name? Boots Riz and Sarah? Who is Sarah? Soda D's. Dr. Pepper good? I like Dr. Pepper. I'm more of a Coke person though. Okay, what am I supposed to do? 100% I know I'm not supposed to press it, right? And there's something weird about this painting. No? Or... Oh, wait! This looks like a fake door here. No? Doesn't it? Look at it, the brick goes vertical compared to like the horizontal bricks. Unlike you, shit, I'm not maidenless. Okay, buddy. I can get maidens, okay? How do I open this door? How do I open this door? Do I touch this? No? How do I open this door? We're still maiden at? She's with your mom. Is that good, chat? Oh, okay. Oh wait, what if I press it like twice? Can I do that? Like press the button twice? Asha's maiden is in a private file. Press it again! Press it again! Oh, do I crouch? Oh! Okay. Oh my god. All you have to do is be short. Who knew? Oh my god. See, it seems like a tall person issue. My mom? I don't have a mom. Well then, your dad. Your dad did. I could take both. Okay, more bullets. Oh, a machete? Oh, not machete, a mallet? Wait, is that a mallet? What do you call that? Is that a machete? Someone heard a strange noise behind the bookshelf. Is it haunted? I don't have a dad. Unfortunately, I have daddy issues. Oh, womp womp. Womp womp. Riz womp womp. Behind the bookshelf. Oh. Oh, it's open already? Should I? Womp womp, yeah, crowd you want? Go copy Phil. Yeah. Fuck. Shit. Oh god. Correct! I'm sorry! I didn't know how to like manually reload. Hey, I just started this game, okay? I just started, okay? Is this okay? I'm not resistant. I was trying to run away, get to a safe space and reload, okay? Okay. 99 bullets and you only hit one. It's hard to aim, okay? It's hard to aim. What am I supposed to do here? Oh god. Ah! Oh my god, shit. Where's it? Stop! Shit! Holy fuck! Shit! What the fuck? Fuck! Shit! God. Yeah, I saw you coming! Jesus Christ. Bookshelf? Okay, whose genius idea was to put bookshelf all the way over here? Huh? What am I supposed to do here? Was there literally no point for me to come over here? No? Oh. You're wasting 50 shots, that's like 30 bucks. I'm not very mega my spinning move, bro. Hey, I would love to see you try, okay, Riz? I would love to see you try. Oh. No? Okay, why does it keep giving me this option? If I can't do anything. And this too, wait, what the heck is this? For? Nothing? Just for decoration? Is the door open? God. What? Okay. I need to unlock one more. One more? Unfortunately, I don't have a PC. Cinder block for your next encounter. Okay. I think I have to do something here. Okay, I know this is a really bad idea, but... What the heck? It's 2 AM, and I'm bored. And I'm gonna regret this so much. Oh god. Okay, ready? Right. Extra nozzle pounces on you. Ooh, you so warm. Couldn't help but notice your butt from across the floor. As well, you naked, you wake it to the yee. Unzips your baggy as pencil, baby. You so musty. Take me home, pet me, and make me yours, and don't forget to stuff me. See me while my little baby tail for your boji. Kisses and lickies and neck. I hope daddy likes nuzzles and wuzzles and jazz. I'll be getting thirsty. Hey, I got a little itch. You think you can help me? Only 7 inches long. Ooh, please stop me. Pause on your boyfriend's and lips. Ooh, punish me, please. Better hit them. This is very shit. You don't see it coming. Oh god. Oh god. It's got them covered. Now I'm starting to think maybe I should... Oh. Make the price higher. Shen, this you? That is me. That is me. That is me. No, it's the right price. Huh. What am I supposed to do here? I don't know what to do here. I'm pretty sure I have to go through here, right? I see like that. Huh. I can see through it, the shelf. Okay, what if I go back? Oh. What if I do this thing again? Red water? It's already over 10K? Yeah, but I feel like you guys are getting it too easily. It's not just me, right? Better than the original? You guys are just being nice. Is it actually better than the original? I feel like the original is too good. Too good. I don't know what to do here. Am I supposed to shoot one of these guys? No? Fake door, fake door, fake door. Shen, all it takes is one stamp and an envelope with a pipe bomb. It's coming straight to your mailbox. You gotta make Uwu cover 60. Oh my goodness. I'll save up the points anyway, make her embarrassed. Like, oh goodness, guys. What do you mean? I gotta wait multiple strings so I get 10K? When you say Roy, I thought it was bruh. Bruh. What? I'm so confused! What am I supposed to do? I'm crouching. I'm looking down. Nothing here. Is this supposed to be like a switch or something? I'm so confused. gotta do something with like electricity, right? No? Hold on, let me read this again. I heard a strange noise behind the bookshelf. Is it haunted? That's it! Strange noise behind bookshelf. Gmod V Club through Gmod. What are those words that you're saying to me right now? Gmod V Club? What is what is Gmod V Club? Can I just I don't What the heck? Bruh. Explain to the absolute absence of You don't know Gary's mod? No, I don't. I know Gary's mod, but I've never played it before. I'm a Skibbity Rizzler fam. In the club, we all fam. in the club, we all fam. Huh. I don't know what to do. Are you booing me? Don't boo me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. That's what she said. I'm so sorry. In the club, we all fam. In the club, we all family. Huh. What if I close it? Can I close it? For sure we have to do something with this, right? Open? No? What? I'm so confused! Okay. Can I push it? I don't think I... Can I take this? No? Well, what about the screwdriver? No? No? What? In the club, you're dead. Is there a map? No, there's no map. I don't think there is. What the heck is that? What? Okay. I don't think I can press that. It's like left and right. Reload. And then... Can I... Behind? Oh, am I supposed to shoot the door or something? What? What? Oh god, it's too dark. My god, shoot the shells. Start blasting. I don't think I should. It's taking like 0 damage. I'm pretty sure I have to like shoot something here, right? But what though? What do I shoot? Oh! I'm dumb. I just gotta look. I don't look. Oh my god. My bad. My bad. Shit. Oh, there we go. I hear something. I know something's gonna pop up here. I don't look down, okay? I don't look down. In the club, we all fam. Oh. 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 Oh! Come here! I see you! He won't die! He won't die! crazy. Trying to jump scare me? I saw it coming. Megamind! Yeah, he was Megamind! He was Megamind! That was legit Megamind right there! Oh my god! Oh shit! Okay. There we go. Okay, now it's open. Yo, bro is hitting the moves. Look at that. Bro is hitting the moves. look at. Wait, is he gonna hurt me? Oh fuck. Okay. Can I go in here? No. Always hug the side. Okay. Random stairs that led to the vents. I need a crowbar. Can I open this? Ratatouille? Going? He's dancing. He's twerking. Teach me how to doggy. There's a butcher down here. Meat? Can I read this? No? There's so many weapons around. I can't grab like a secondary weapon or anything. The intruders. Note, intruder. I heard that there's a secret room here, which must be hidden. There must be hidden valuable things. I have been unable to find the entrance. Okay, secret room. Secret room. Secret room. Right, guys? Oh my god. We'll be lucky. I got 4 more guns left to get infinite ammo on for RE5. Alright! Good luck! Good luck in RE5! Crimson! Good luck, good luck! Hope you have fun. I hope you die lots. Okay? Thanks for the lurk! Oh. Let's see. Nothing. Shit! Fuck. Nice. So fun, guys. So fun. Okay. Here. Okay. Thank you so much for the sub. Oh my god. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the 2 months. Was it MP? Thank you. Thank you for the 2 months. Thank you so much for the sub. She's having fun, alright? Yeah, so much fun. Don't you just love getting scared? It pumps your heart. It's great for your I don't know what you call that. Your heartbeat. Oh, crowbar. Oh my god. Bro, won't die. Oh my god. Okay. Come on. Oh my god. Yeah, really way too calm to play a horror game. I wish I could be the same. It's so fun! feel like horror games are like not that scary though, you know? Not that scary. Not that scary. I lost 500 calories playing that horror game. 500 calories? Sheesh! Oh, it's open? It's a workout? That was not much. I love horror games. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah, shit! Oh shit! Oh god. Oh my god. Anyways, guys. I love how these guys are like, you know, polka dots. You know? Because it's really interesting because there are some bugs in the wild that have the same patterns. And usually when you see those patterns, IRL, they're like, poisonous. Yes. Not gonna lie, the game is really cool. It is really cool. It is really cool. What the heck? Oh my god, I remember this part. I saw Itoshi playing this part. Oh fuck. Shit. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I remember Itoshi playing this part. And it took you like a whole hour just to get here? Itoshi? Oh. Okay. Hey now! What do you mean hey now? It is said that the weapons of the psychic investigator are unusual, all of which are opened by the enlightened monks and can deal with the terrible creatures that the ordinary weapons cannot attack. And this weapon is only effective when used by the psychic investigators. Okay. Don't call me out like that. It took me 2 hours to finish. The game can be buggy as well. Ah, I see. This one. I remember this. Oh no! Fuck. I remember. It's so funny. Oh my god. Wait, the hole is gone? Is it still here? Oh, they're gone! That's really... It's okay, it's okay, it's fine. Not gonna lie, the nurse is hot too. The nurse. Oh la la. Oh la la. Am I gonna see boobies? Like Silent Hill nurse. Whoa. Can I go here? Oh, fuck! Oh my goodness. Enlightened monks? So what monks before this? Unintelligent monks? Damn you! Empty the clip and miss all of them? You reload one bullet and shoot once you hit? You need better aim training? I'm trying! I'm not that good at aiming! Okay, I don't play like FPS games heavily, okay? Okay. I'm a giraffe as jump scare. I love giraffes. They're tall, blonde, and you know, hot. When you gaze into the abyss gazes back at you. It whispers are shadows and it murmurs are of darkness. The gloom that trails behind is but a testament to the brilliance of the light before it. Shadows and brushstrokes of hardship etch resilience upon the canvas of life in the face of trials. Mortals. Okay, this is a long stream. Not stream. What the heck? A long read. I don't know why it says stream for. Shares into animal bros. No, bestiality. No. I'm not into bestiality. But I do, you know, I do like the occasional furries. We're king, but okay. Oh my god. No. No. Oh. Done. Okay, I remember seeing Itoshi play this part, so we're just gonna skip through this really quick. Where is it on here? Okay. Chance of fairy? Oh no! Here I go calling ATF. Wait, what is ATF? Stop shooting the lights, bro. I can't see. What are you doing? Am I? There. You like it with the lights on? Basically, ATF does is shooting other people's dog. What? What do you mean? What do you mean shoot other people's dog? Hello. What beautiful eyes you have. Did you get surgery? Oh my! Oh my god! Oh shit! Oh my god! She's speaking straight facts. This one gripped me so bad. Did it actually? I didn't see this part. I think I stopped watching after this. Oh, like before this. Or like after you got here. Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the sub. Thank you so much for the sub. Ah, very enlightened.
It's been a
yes.
year.
Oh my god, chaos! It's been 1 year. Welcome in, chaos. How is you? How is you? How is your day? Okay. I need to find an arm. Oh my god! Okay. How do I skip this? Does she got some knockers on her? Yeah, I know she got some knockers on her. she has boobs. She has some big old boobies. Okay. We need to hand her something. I'm assuming her other hand. Oh fuck! Oh my god! It's so scary! What the heck? Oh my god! Did I mention this game to you a while back? Yeah, you did! Chaos, you did! Yeah, I'm playing it now. Okay, here I go harassing ghosts. We need to lend her a hand. Also, I mean, we all just dealt with stupid people at work as usual. Oh, NT. I hope your day gets better, chaos. Can I grab that? Yeah, my day has been okay. I'm like, how do I get out? How do I not get? Oh my god, how do I not die? Yeah, I'm getting a little bit sick. But it's okay. I just know that like once I go to sleep and wake up, I'm gonna feel so dead. Yeah, speed running. Good coin. I don't need a good coin. I need an arm. Speed running. Arm? Is there an arm? Oh! Oh my god! Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. Nah, just working in customer service and you realize how, oh my god, how stupid a lot of people in the US are. Yeah, very stupid. The US is like not the best, not the brightest place, okay? Not the brightest. You say, no, I had to poop. You know, that's what our mom said a lot. She said whenever, where is it? Oh my god. She said whenever a police siren goes on, it's just a police officer needing to go use the bathroom. My fucking ears. I'm sorry. Hey. I know what to do now. Grab this. Where is he? He's still there. No. Fuck. Can you come over here? What the hell? Okay, how the heck did I get past him? Oh my god. If I remember, this enemy, it stops while you're looking at it. Does it? Okay. Does it actually stop when you look at it? I did not know that. Did it just move when I was like staring at it? No? Is it still there? Oh my god. Springhead? Oh, Springhead, okay. Yeah, it reappears, find it and move while looking at it. Oh, okay. Okay. Gotta go fast. I freaking hate the Springhead. Also, I kind of want to play Little Company again. It's been so long. Can I walk past you? He's gone! Where's the door? 1 2 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3. Okay 1 2 1. What was it? 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3. Okay. 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 3. Okay. Easy! Also, welcome in, Mom. Welcome. Wait, do I get a gun? Oh. What? I only had 36 gold? Fuck. That's so lame. This gold looks awfully like the gold I ate earlier. I just realized you were streaming. Yeah, I was streaming. Oh my god, I'm gonna be honest, I was looking at your gun and her boob was scared. Oh my god, why are you looking at her booba? Jesus, it's called cousin. Remington? Should have picked up the gold coins on the way. I did! Did I miss some? Well, I found as many as I could. I guess I only got 36. Swing champion. Urban Legend has a creepy weirdo name. The Swing Boxer. Haha. He's called the Swing Boxer because he's a boxer that is also a swinger. Haha. Ha. Get it? Cause never mind. Okay. He can quickly swing his head from side to side in a battle, dodging incoming bullets and other long-range attacks. with incredible speed. His weakness is his head, and if his head is attacked, the swing champ will go into a rage and decrease his movement speed. Attacking his leg will make him very slow, but deal less damage. Okay. Leg slow, less damage. Okay. Can pick up the gun. I can't pick up the gun. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I'm poor. The gun is the Demon Pan Pan. Left you the original price of $9.98. Now as long as 66 gold can be permanently owned. If you do not have that many gold, as long as you can live to see Pan Pan, she will lend you. Okay. Okay. I'm poor. I need like 30 more coins. Yup. Weak. Hack the frame. This shit poor much like RL, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm very poor. I have like little money. Like not even kidding, I have like $11 in my checking. Oh, look at the feet wick. Oh. Run. What am I supposed to do? Oh yeah. Are you shimmy at me? What am I supposed to do? Is it dead? TP. Oh, teabag. It's called Clam Slam? Hey! I've never heard anybody say that before. Clam Slam? Oh god. Talk about poor Venom ad. Love the Pizza Hut clap. Black juice mayo. Okay. Clam Slam. I thought it was called Coochie Slam. No? Will you slam coochies together? I don't know. I heard you say that. Coochie Slam. Pelvic thrust. Teabag for men. When the hustle and bustle of the city gradually fell silent and the night quietly fell, XXX Hospital should be a symbol of healing and peace. Became a place shrouded in the mystery of it. Okay. Whenever the night stayed, all sort of gruesome rumors. Okay. Murderous nurses. Okay. Oh my god, murderous nurses? This is just my type. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, you guys are so kawaii this name. Okay. Are they gonna kill me now? Anything here? No? Where's the egg there? The egg of the evil spirit, the huge egg which is bred by the evil spirit absorbing the resentments of heaven and earth, will give birth to an extreme powerful terror monster when it hatches, causing life to be destroyed. Okay. Oh my god. Fun fact, the hospital map is the same as demonologist. Yeah, I think, okay, this is my theory, okay. I feel like, I seen this map in like 3 different games. I'm not even kidding. And I think this map is a... What the fuck is it? I think this map is like a free asset that you can download somewhere and use it, you know, for like these indie games. Free to use. Either free to use or you could just buy it for really cheap. That's why a lot of indie games have this the same map. It costs a lot. It costs a lot of like money just to like build a custom map. I don't know what to do. What am I even supposed to do? I took out my flashlight by accident. I'm sorry. I'm dead. Fuck. This map reminds me of Panicore. Yeah, it's the same map as Panicore. A map is overrated. I think you have to pay for it. Yeah. Just make a black border creatures chasing you. That's terrible. You could actually. Yeah, fuck Flappy randomizer here. It's called Sleep Paralysis Demon. Which I was one. I love watching shit. Huh? Wish I never had one. You have a sleep paralysis demon? Is it a lady? Is she also single? Can I go here? Okay. I have a sleep paralysis demon. Demons, are they good looking? This is a very, very important question. Okay, are they good looking? Okay. Sleep paralysis happens the most often for me out of my family. Oh my god. Maybe you need, you know, what do you call it? Melatonin? Maybe you need melatonin. Come out! I know you're here! Come on! I know you're here! Come out! I'm dead! Okay. How do I kill it? How do I kill it? How do I kill it? Oh god. Is that a good sign? Now, unfortunately, I am taken as a gentleman. I can't cheat on men lady unless I cheat on the SATs. I freaking hated the SATs. I don't think I did that good. My highest score was like 101. Is that good? I Are they girly? They can shapeshift, so maybe. Wait, that's amazing. That's like the best of like two worlds, kind of, right? Wait, did I read this? I read this, right? I did, okay. Oh. Oh yeah, my game froze! No, wait, what is it froze? It's frozen! Hold on, guys. Oh. Oh, there you go. Okay, I fixed it. Okay, what if I don't kill it though? Can I just like walk past it? The monster? The girl? The grudge girl? Okay. It can't go through here. Reload faster! Okay, I'm trying to reload faster, okay? 101? You can get 500 for putting your name on it? Oh, 07? Thank you, thank you. Last time I checked the SAT, they have the quiz from the old GOW puzzle. What the heck? What the heck is the old GOW puzzle? It's a fucking dead end! It's a fucking dead end. Is she gone though? Is she gone? God of War. Oh! God of War! I am uncultured. She's stuck! She's stuck! She's stuck! She's stuck. Where did it go through? Yeah! This room! I remember. Okay, to be fair, I never played God of War, okay? So, yeah. Oh. Anything? What am I supposed to... Okay. Is that it? Oh my god. What? What am I supposed to do here? Huh? Oh. Oh, I'm supposed to tap it? Okay, okay. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh no! Sorry! Oh fuck! Oh my god, who the heck is this dude? Oh my god. This guy looks like the gold guy from Star Wars. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? the gold robot guy. Oh my god. C3PO. C3PO. Yeah. Am I saying that right? Is it C3PO or C3P0? Yeah. Okay, well, what do I do with this egg? What do I do with this egg? P-O. I see. Okay, when the hustle became the place shrouded with mystery, whenever the next day series of resolved, there are all sorts of groups and ruins circulating among the medicals, but the most shocking is the mystery that's the hospital nurses. Am I supposed to find out the hospital nurses? Like, how they died? Oh shit, did I forget to grab that? Oh. Birthday races? Sit on it? Let me sit on it. Oh, wait, I can go here. Fuck! Shit! Fucking shit. Fucking... Oh my god. Shit. Cook it? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Can I go in here? It will call you mama? I don't want to be a mother! You think I want to be a mother? Okay. I can hear voices here. Coming from the vents? Oh, wait, can I open this now? No? How do I get get here? Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Okay, I wait here. Let me grab this. Oh. Oh. You're a motherfucker. Exactly! And you know who mother I fucked? Your mom. In reality, you should just shoot the door. BRB, I'm gonna go watch my play. Okay, Buns. He got auto mod. He got auto mod. Well, my dad is the motherfucker. Yeah, go tell your dad that. Go tell that to your dad. Yeah. Oh shit. Automata out here like RS. Woo-wee. Yeah, I'm great at comebacking. Is that a term? Is that the right term? Okay, I feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Oh, we went there. No, we went here. Okay, I can't go there. Wait, can I actually shoot the door? Can I actually do that? Will it work? Passage door 1. How do I get through, though? Oh, that I have to go through the vent? Is that... I feel like it has something to do here. Can I go here? No? What if... How about over here? No? No. And I can't go here, no?
Hello, motherfucker.
It won't let him say come. It's okay. Come is completely fine. I can't come. What? I don't know why. It's so weird. I don't want you this motherfucker. Yeah, I don't know why. Automod is silly. He's just a silly goober. Oh, there's another egg here. Wait, how do I get there? How do I get there? Is there a secret door here? I feel like there is. Oh. Wait, it doesn't give me clues! How am I supposed to know? How to get over here? Did I forget something? Like a key? Can I open this? No? Oh. I think I forgot something. I can type Automa, you dance mother effer with the 4F word. Oh, I see. Oh! Wait, I need to read this. Oh! Okay. Okay, now I can open that door. Son of a bitch. You guys are just using cuss words in my chat now. wait. The tragedy always occurred on the quietest of night, when the lights in the ward corridors were dim and faint, the only occasional taking a distant breathing mixed together to create a suffocating atmosphere. The nurses, who are supposed to be guardians angel of the hospital, fall victim to some unknown force one late night after another. Their cause of death is confusing. In addition to the cold body of the deceased, there is no clue left, as if by an invisible hand quietly took away their life. Oh shit. Oh shit! Oh, let's go in here. Okay. Anything else? No? Oh shit. Math! You giving me math? You giving me math? Okay. 1778. 1778 plus 888. E plus 8 is 16. 6, 1. Oh, 16, 8, 1. 16, 6, 1. Oh, it's 6, right? 6, 4 times, right? 4 times, right? Bitch! Let me out! Oh, I'm supposed to do it. Right? 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay. All 6. No, 400 times? Yes. Yes, 4 times. Oh god. I fucking hate math. I'm not gonna lie, anything over like anything over 6 like 7, 8, 9, I should like think twice. No joke. Oh fuck. Can I shoot her? God. Jesus Christ. Crying woman. Crying woman. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I panicked. I panicked a little. Oh. I'll take that. Jesus Christ. Okay, what does this say? Weeping woman, by posing as a crying woman to attract prey. If you look into her eyes, she ingests your soul. Okay. Devil's egg. I panicked from crying woman. Crying woman! Did you realize crying woman? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My neighbor could probably hear me. They're like, what's wrong with this lady? Why won't this guy die? God. Anyways, wait. Not the pepperoni man. Not the pepperoni man. Oh god. Make it the mother of all omelets. Here, check. Oh, what? Walking out the street, crying woman. Make my wig down sound. Passage 2. There's another key to... Did I forget a key? Oh, it's right here. Oh. Okay, I need to start looking. How am I missing all of this stuff? God. Your neighbor is hearing you scream. Crying woman! It's better gonna keep them up all night. Let's see. God. Crying woman! Jesus Christ. My neighbor is the rat. She lives in a cardboard box. I'm literally behind her. I don't live in a cardboard box. Okay, I live in a HOUSE. Okay, sir. For your information. Crying woman too. She teleports to her prey, forces the weak girl to look into her eye, and is immune to all physical attack. And the only way to deal with her is to find her body and destroy it. Are they telling to exorcist this goddamn woman? Find her body and destroy it. Oh my god. I'm in her shadow, so I see you. Oh, it's you. That was my sleep paralysis. I am literally street sniping this. Oh my god, look at this. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's nothing I hate more. There's nothing that okay. I find like scary old lady more scarier than like anything else. CT room. CT. I don't know why. Old women, old ladies, old grandmas. They scare me. If she does something stupid, I'm shooting her. I'm reloading. Can I grab that from here? I could. Okay, we go over here. What's we supposed? Hospital officials said to cover the incident attributed to the natural death or accident, but rumors spread like wildfire among the medical staff and fever in the dark turning and otherwise busy medical hall into a panic. Families are worried about the safety of their loved ones, but patients had added their fear of the unknown to the illness. Okay. I'm pretty sure I have to find our body parts. Oh my god, she has half an ass. Let's play chess while we're here. While I'm holding a clock upon chess dome. Oh my god, so far it looks like I found way too many bugs in my game. Yours looks normal. Damn. Skill issue, Toshi, skill issue! Skill issue! Damn shit, you're gonna read your kids' bedtime stories that fast too? Damn right I am. You know, the quicker it is, the quicker I get to go to bed. Okay, I need a... What does she need? An arm and a leg. Oh, an arm and two legs. No, I mean... 2 arms and 1 leg. My bad. Skill issues. Am I dying? Okay. Yeah, 2 legs. He has 3 legs in total. Alright, we need to retrieve head. That's what he said. She got good head. That's what he said. more joking. Okay, guys, be serious for once. Goodness gracious, have some decency. That's literally what he said. Okay. To in this room, laboratory. What the hell? Who are you? What's it? Correct. Okay. What am I missing? I need a... I'm scared to go down there. WT bag, thank you. Thank you. I need 2 arms and 1 leg. 2 arms, 1 leg. Correct! Oh my god. Bathroom? No, nothing? Oh my god, head! Oh, fuck! What the hell? Can I leave? Oh shit! Oh my god! Get away from me! Jesus Christ. Oh my god. This game is literally making me panic way too much. Oh my god, gold coin. Can I go in here? No? Okay, we got head. What now? Oh my god. Lost a head in one night. I know, right? So many head. What is this? Ammo. Dead bodies. One night stand. Oh my god! Oh, what the heck? Okay. Is that the second witch? Oh, what the heck? Not second witch. Wait, second witch, right? Is it witch? Second. Oh my god. Don't stare at her. Okay. How do I not stare at her though? I tried to look away and like it keeps like making me look back at her. I got this already, right? Okay. Ta-da! Okay! Oh my god! You're dead, right? Sorry guys. Every time I try to reload, I keep cooking tea and I keep turning off my flashlight instead. My bad. You have to resist. Oh, okay. Sorry guys. I'm gullible. I give in too easily. Okay. I got it. Okay. Got it. Shit sounds like a skelly shoe. It's not a skelly shoe. Okay. She's dead. I found an arm. This is all I need. Dude, you sound like a guy. You in a trash bag? Oh my god. Why is there so many? My back hurts. My back hurts. Oh god. My back hurts. Oh my god. She gives into instantly $500 for tonight. Oh jeez. That got me. Hey, I'm not that gullible, okay? When it comes to money, you know, it's a different story. Oh god, you got this. Thank you, thank you. Oh, a leg? Oh god. Little girl. Holy shit. Yeah, I help you with your homework and this is how you treat me? Rude. I spammed that little girl. He spammed the little girl. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Okay. We go here, we go here. Oh, there's an egg here. Okay. Guess I hate her for making me solve the math problem. Oh no, do it! I heard him! I heard it! Are you fucking running down? Right? Why are you green? Oh fuck! Ah! Ah! Nice. I wasted so many bullets. All my bullets are gone. Can I open this? No? I'll bomb the fat kid that pushes me downstairs. That's so mean! That's so mean! Okay. Okay. Wait, what do we need? I got a head, an arm, and a leg. I need another arm, another arm, another arm. Where have I not gone yet? Over here? What the fuck? Oh my god. Okay, here. Okay. Now that's very Mega Mind spending budget there. Hey, why do you think I'm so poor? Oh, rawr. Oh my god. Another math problem? You little... What the heck is this? Okay. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you live in a cardboard box. Saying you're poor because you don't let us throw money. I don't need money from Twitch, okay? Okay. 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus blank. 3 plus blank? What the heck goes in the middle between that? Okay, 3 plus... What's 3 plus 99? 99? 102? 102 plus 100? 202? 202 plus... What's the middle one? 202. Okay, oh fuck. Okay, what if I put 202? What is the last... 202. Is this somewhere here? 202. 202? 202? 202. 202 plus 202 plus huh? How am I supposed to solve it? Oh god, 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 oh god. What? Oh my god. It says that what was the 11 in the checking account? Nothing is more real than watching your debit card descend your grave before you realize while walking to the ATM. That is so sad. That is so sad. Not gonna lie, guys. I'm not that poor, okay? I have like $12 in cash. Yeah, I'm about to like put it in my checking account. I'm about to go to the ATM tomorrow and put it in. We'll go see it though. I don't know, ma'am. Is it not 202? What? Okay. 99 plus 100. That's 199, 199, 200, 21, 22. Plus blink, blink, blink. Is it 203? Oh fuck. 20. Wait. 205? I'm so confused. I need another number there. Can I just leave? What? Is it somewhere? Oh my god, did I turn off the lights? No, okay, I thought I was big brain for this. Never mind. That did nothing. What? Is it the number on shirt? 215? Okay, 202 plus 215. 202. That's 417. No, 417? 417? Okay, I have no clue. I have no clue. Where's the last number? Huh? What? Shen, that means you're adding all the numbers. Add the numbers from 1 to 200. I did! It's 202! But it's missing this number right here in the middle. And I need to figure out what number it is. What number is here? Right? Oh, are you telling me what? Ah! That's so much work. 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 Is it 50-50? Is it actually 50-50? Oh my god, oh my god. Stop looking at her! Wait. You're right. Okay, guys. Small brain, no think. Small brain, no think. Okay, small brain. Oh. Small brain, no think that far. Also, that's so much work. You want me to add every single number together? That's too much work. Okay. else here? I found an arm. Is that it? Is that everything? Which room? It was this room, right? Laboratory? Okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? Oh, key. X-ray room, X-ray room, X-ray room. X-ray room? Where was the X-ray room? I don't remember. Was it this room? No, was it? Oh god. No, I thought you failed math and I had to help you. Pretty much. But one can find an equation for it solved in a few seconds. I googled it. Apparently, an experiment a teacher did to shut up the kids in class. What the heck? Is this the X-ray room? Okay. Can I close the door? That's a very terrible experiment. Have you guys done like the like, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like white bunny, right? White rabbit experiment or some shit. Where like they give you like, your teacher gives you like a marshmallow or like a piece of candy, and like you have to be patient, and like if you wait long enough, you get a second marshmallow, candy. But if you're too impatient, you see your marshmallow, you don't get a second one. But they don't tell you that. They just give you a piece of candy and they leave it on your table, and then they just don't tell you anything. It's like a social like experiment or something. Yeah. Like, alright, I have to go to the pharmacy now. I'm buying meds. Oh, not schizo. Have a nice stream, guys. Bye, Shem. Bye, Chess. See you soon. Bye-bye, Riz. Have a great trip to the pharmacy. Be safe. Don't get robbed. Hopefully. Good luck, good luck. Thank you for the like. Thank you. I don't want to block my shot. Yeah, I know. It's okay. I saved you. Oh my god. Oh my god. Where am I supposed to go? Did I go here? CTO? I know, I've seen it. Ah. Yeah. Oh. I killed the crying woman? Is that it? Okay, what do I do now? Okay, imagine she getting robbed tomorrow when she goes to the ATM with $12 and the robber just lets her go because she's poor. You know, that's the one thing like I don't worry about, you know? Like if my, you know, I'm pretty reckless, guys. And like if I lose something, I literally don't care because I have nothing. Like, what are you gonna buy? What are you gonna buy with my $12? What are you gonna do with my debt? Are you gonna pay for my loans, my debts? Literally. Is this it? Nothing. Did I go here already? I didn't, did I? Oh. I don't want to go there. There's so many mannequins. I don't want to go there. I don't think you guys understand. I just have a big fear of mannequins. How are you not dead? Uh-oh. I just saw her moving. Oh my god. You have nothing, you will always find something. Oh god. Give me the coin, give me the coin. Is that it? Is that it? Oh my god. Robert sees that she has $12. He feels bad and gives her 100 instead. The 100 was from a previous victim. Yeah, you held one's hand in the store as a child because you were lost. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to hold I was holding a mannequin's hand because I couldn't find my mom. And I think I was like 4 or something. I was like 4 or 5. Previous person has 500, so he gave her 100. No, pepperoni man, my boy. Pepperoni man, what do you mean? He tried to kill me. Wait, this guy's running away. Oh. More bullets? More ammo? More ammo? Okay. Is it? Is it? Am I almost done with the game? Can I go here? No. Okay. So the Nemi, and Nemi is my boy. Oh god. I love Nemi. Love Nemesis. I've grown to like his presence. Kind of. He was a little annoying. Honestly, I think I hate Mr. X a lot more. I thought the police have investigated a lot of energy and professional strength in an in-depth investigation into the bizarre events that took place in the hospital. They have so far failed a conclusive evidence or come up with a convincing explanation as a result. X Hospital was a busy and vibrant medical center was gradually shrouded in a lingering haze. Its reputation was hit hard and trust plummeted. It ended up being an abandoned hospital. Okay. Oh. What do I do here? This is the equation for the math, by the way. S equal... I don't even know how to read that, Mom. I'm gonna like these are some tall. Are you dead? You better, he got a tentacle. Love Nemesis. Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Oh, that's it. It's the exit. These sound like clickers from The Last of Us. I have never played The Last of Us. If I'm being honest. I've seen gameplays of it, okay? I've seen gameplays, okay? And like, oh, the show. I've seen the show, okay? And I've seen like clips, okay? Oh god. Oh, Missy's like thick. What is this? Superhuman? Shotgun damage? Pistol damage? Player move speed? Health? Ability to jump. To slide. Okay. Oh my god!
Hi.
Hi! 2 gold? I have to give her 2 gold? What happens if I give her 2 gold? Oh, she dances! Oh my god. I'm lashing nails because I have ads. Oh no! Warm. That's it! Hey, 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 hey. That's it! That was like 2 seconds! Ma'am, look at her posture. Like her hands are like so straight. She's so thick though. Oh my god. This is strange. This is a strange world. Only the devil knows how to get out here. Poor demon. Pan Pan has been hungry for several days. You can go to Kun Kun house to find 3 chicken feet and 2 giant eggs and bring back to Pan Pan. She will help you get out of here. Okay. Wait, what was it? Chicken feet? 3 chicken feet, 2 giant eggs. Okay, okay. What is this? Is that gonna increase any stacks? We'll see, we'll see. Yeah. You're thick. I'm thick. I'm thick. I'm thick. I'm thick. I'm thick. I'm thick. This world lives a variety of monsters transformed by the grievances of the human world, unusually fierce, but the kind of pop on seeing you. Okay, numbers, keys, 1 to switch weapons. Okay, can I buy a weapon? Oh, I do have a weapon. I kind of want to jump. Wow, jump so high! Okay. Superhuman. Shotgun damage, pistol damage, movement speed. Damn, I'm super tanked. I'm super tanked! Okay. Okay, what do I need? Chicken feet? 3 chicken feet and what the heck is this?
要人啊，水狗啊！要人啊，水狗啊！下头拿，下头
What the
拿。
heck? Is this part of the game? Am I not done with the game? Now do I cover it by saying come on fucker, get down? What song is that? What song is that? Deep in the dark forest, the ancient night, there is the forgotten corner where all the kinds of strange creatures live, including the demon. But unlike her people, Pumba is literally in the kind of her in the demon kind strange ferocity. Or in the witch's story, in the Pumba realm, gentleness and timidity makes her seem out of place as she is afraid of hurting others and reluctant to see any foreign value. She's suddenly okay. Oh my god. That's she done? Is this the end? Oh shit! What the heck is this? Down with the sickness? I don't know that song. I don't know that song. Attack of the Fairies? Attack of the Fairies, indeed. You know what? What if I stick to like my pistol? Okay. I need... What is it? Okay, he wants fucking die! Run! Run! What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? How do I like get past this part? Can I go back? Is it? Hi. Okay, what was it? I need 3 chicken. You can go to Kun Kun's house.
You suck.
3 chicken feet, 2 giant eggs. This is Bun. 3 chicken feet, 2 giant egg. Okay, thank you for the redeem. Thank you. Okay, 8 bullets. I think it's over here. No? Okay, how many bullets was that? That was How many bullets? I think it was 5 bullets, right? 5 bullets? Is this what's his name? Kum? Is this Kum's house? I forgot his name. I forgot their name. Kum's house? Oh, that is his house! And they got caught! Okay. I know what to do. Okay. We have to sneak. I thought we could just go in there and steal it. Okay, we have to sneak in there. Oh wait, I'm here. He's not there. Okay, we sure we can't go there, right? So no front door. Okay, 4 bullets. 4 bullets.
叫人买水果啊！叫人买水果啊！
Like I scared by watermelon.
下头打。
What the heck is that? Cucumber? God. God. Okay. Can I turn this off? I can't. Okay, I need light. Oh my god! His door just fell off! Oh my god! He's coming over here! Oh my god! Bro, his door just His door just broke off. What the hell? Where is he? What the hell? I'm so confused. This game is like confusing me. Okay, I get it. He's gonna be here. Wait, he's not here. Okay, what if I just kill him? I could do that, right? I could just like kill him, like murder. Oh my god, I could just kill him. I could just kill him. Oh my god. He's dancing. I am so confused. Is this like the tactic? Like you're in the middle of a fight and your opponent just starts dancing? Like what do you even do? Like what? I'm so confused. What? Huh? What? What? Honestly, not gonna lie, that would like work on me. Like you just like suddenly start dancing. Oh, oh my god, I'm dying! I died to a painting! I died to a painting! You gotta be kidding me, you gotta be kidding me! I died to a painting? What the heck? What the heck? Game! Okay. I get it now, I get it. Wait, is he dead, right? He's dead, right? We killed him, right? We killed him. Yeah, art really is my calling. He's dead. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so confused. I would die too if you call yourself a piece of art. Oh, well, I get chicken feet. Okay. 1 chicken feet. Anything here? No? And then... Okay. He's dead. Kun is dead. Papa has a huge appetite, but this is not because of greed, but because it has special ability through food to purify negative energy in the like each time she tastes the delicacy in the world, those negative feelings were overcome by her kindness, transforming to pure hope and pure love and hope. However, this ability is just a strange habitat. Okay. Whatever, okay. Oh. What? Oh, upstairs. Does he keep it upstairs? Should I start the Mon Shaman chance? I don't know it. I don't know it. I'm like the most uncultured person ever. Mom. What? I came here for chicken feet and 2 eggs. Just give it to me. Okay. Is it in the other houses? No way. No way. No way. No, I have to go over there. Nothing? What the heck? Oh my god. Okay. All my hard work for nothing? Okay, isn't another house here. Okay. You get pop out the car, she'll give you a chest. Okay. Go back, I don't need that. Okay. Oh god, why is it so hard to kill this painting? Okay. Chicken feet. By the time I go to there should be numerous understanding the box said leaving behind the society should. Okay. Where's it coming from? I'm so confused. Where is it coming from? Dancing again. Why is it always dancing? Oh my god. Stop shooting me shit, I just want to hug. No! Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. We're good now, we're Gucci now, right? We're good. Chicken feet, okay. Why is this so hard? R.I.P. Automod. What did Automod do? Is that it? Need more ammo? Good night, Shan. Good night, chat. Have a great rest of your stream, you goats. Thank you, Yoshi. Thank you. Have a good night, Yoshi. Sweet dreams. Wish you get lots of rest. Wish you lock your doors, lock your windows, lock your closet, 'cause I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna be lucky, so lock your doors. Yep, yes sir. Nice. The Papa one way the Papa always be helping you around. Okay. Where's the chicken feet? Oh my god. Said this is gonna boost your ego, but I haven't finished this part yet. Really, Toshi? I thought you finished the game. You didn't finish it? Oh my god. Oh, I hear him. Oh my god. I haven't finished either. That's what he said. Oh my god. Well, I got only to the part where I skipped the hospital. Oh. That's it? Oh my god. I think this part isn't as scary though. Does she feel any papa never be great as she believe that one day she would okay. Close back. Oh, egg. Yeah, it's not as scary. Yeah. I don't think I have enough gold to buy shotgun and jump. Honestly, I got the shotgun for free. Itoshi. I think I did. It was just on the table and I just took it. I don't think I spent any money on it. Yeah. Yeah. Except for like the jump. I just spent money on the jump. And then like I stacked up my health because I keep getting hurt. Okay. Here. This house. I'll check it. Okay. Wait, I'm back here! Okay, I need one more egg. One more egg. Oh, she's doing a different dance! Shit, you're so slow! What do you mean? After that, it was eh. I think the hospital had the scariest. Really, I think the beginning part is the scariest. Beginning part, like, which the beginning part. Yeah. Where's the last egg? Is it in the backyard somewhere? 5 movement speed is fine. It's fine. Patience is key. Okay. Where's the last egg? It's in the house somewhere. Oh, it's right there. I see it. I see it. BRB, gonna go clean my bong. What is Lucy? Okay. Okay, buddy. Yeah, I'm fun with that. Make sure you clean, sanitize it really well, and put in some new clean water. Okay. Oh my god, is that my clip? Oh goodness. Thank you for the clip, relax. Thank you. Okay. There we go. Got it. Somewhere a door opens. Jet, you better protect me, Jet! Is this it?
Oh my god! Nice.
Is this it? What the heck is this? Just a random boss battle? Oh my god! Okay. Can I go back? Hold on. How much money do I have?
Hi.
46. Oh, 46. Shotgun damage. Movement speed. I have 1 gold. Okay. Slide. Honestly, I don't feel that difference running though.
Hi.
Okay. I come back and you're fighting Demon Jedi? Yeah, it's so random. Oh my god. Bro! heck? How do I? What? Bankai! Oh my god. Have you played Dead Space 1 or 2? I have not. I have not. It is on my list, though. It is on my list. Oh my god! He's hitting me, he's hitting me! Oh my god, he's literally... Oh my god! How is he... What the heck? What the heck? How do I beat him? Oh my god. Oh my god. Should I get the HD remastered Dead Space 1? We'll see. I only have $11. We'll see, we'll see. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. How do I dodge that? Oh god. What? What the heck? Okay. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Okay. No, but that place kind of creepy too. Oh. I see. Okay. I thought it was 100k bits. Honestly, I don't even remember how much I put it. If I'm being honest. Don't hit me. Oh my god. Please don't hit me. What the hell? Ow! Please. Is it better if I just like hop away from him? Oh no! What the heck? Should deluxe or regular? None! I know what you're doing, Chaos. None. I'm not accepting gifts. I've said this like 100 times, okay? I do not accept gifts. Okay. Okay, I just gotta look at him, right? Okay. 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 like it. This is like Mr. X boss fight. It is. It is. Should we get this space remastered deluxe? You gotta do 2 runs, 1 normal, and then 1 no. Impossible is gonna be so hard. And 2 squishy. Early birthday present. No. I refuse the birthday presents. Okay, I refuse it. I refuse birthday presents. Oh my god! Welcome in, Raiders! Welcome!
No, if it's a giant, if it's a giant font, it's a lolly.
Thank you for the raid, Venus! Welcome!
Level fart.
Hello, Ray! Welcome, everyone! Welcome in, Raiders!
Oh my god.
How was your stream? What did you do? What did you play? Howdy, Shinobi. Howdy, howdy. Hello, mate. How was your stream? Yeah, it was the RE6 clip. Twas good. Play through some Silent Hill. The first one or the new one? The second one? Twas fun. That's very great. That's good. The new one. Ooh, nice. How are you liking it so far? I'm planning on playing it too. Hopefully. Yeah, I do plan on playing it. It is very fun. That's nice. That's nice. Right now, I'm playing. I don't know how you say this. CHUXIE. CHUXIE. It's a short horror game. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm battling like the final boss, I think, and it's it's going great. Shen, you accepting Subnautica multiplayer? I want to bring Leviathan to you. She better. She fucking better. We'll see, guys. We will see. Okay, we will see. Yep. Okay. Yep. Make sure you drink some water, beaters. Have some like what do you call that? Post stream routine. How is this guy like hitting me every time? Okay. What the heck? I don't get it. Okay. CHUXIE. Subnautica 2 multiplayer is happening? Yeah, Subnautica 2 multiplayer. Thank you for the like, Beatus. Thank you. Beatus is watching me from the closet. When will he come out of the closet? Who knows? We'll see. Hi. There's no seeing Shen if you don't. Okay, I get it. We will see. Yes, we will see. Okay, my new strat is to run. What the hell? How is he like running so fast? Okay, I keep getting hit. How do I beat this guy? Oh, by the way, should I send you a screenshot of the new hero in AFK Journey? Really? I said they come out with new heroes like... He's chasing me. Come here, dude. Come here. Come here. Ah! Run. Okay, slow and steady wins the game. All the time. Okay, never mind. Slow and steady, don't fucking win the game. There's no slow and steady here. Oh my god. Why is it so hard to kill this guy? Okay. Shoot, and run. Shoot, and run. Shoot, and run. Shoot, and run! Oh my god. Run. Run and reload. Okay. Run and reload. How are you? Shoot! Oh my god. Run. Okay. Wait, buddy. Okay, and run, reload. Okay. I got it. Run! I got it, easy. Okay. Oh my god, somebody sees me, oh my god. Oh my god, Granny, save me! Oh my god. Okay. I got it. Okay, I just don't gotta get hurt. Maybe I gotta learn how to like switch guns. Let me reload. Okay, I get it. You're struggling with reloading? Yeah. I'm planning to. Oh my god, you fucking kidding me! Okay. It's okay. I got this. Oh my god! Okay. Come here, you little. Come here. Come here. Oh my god! I'm literally hitting you mid-fight! Oh my god! Okay. Regenerate my health. Yes. Regenerate my health. I need him to go to the center. Oh fuck! No, fuck! Okay. Nickel, cobalt, iodine. Thank you, Mom. Anyways, I got this. Okay. I'm dead. I think I have like one hit left. This guy just won't die! Oh my god! guys. Breathe in, breathe out. Go get more money. Go get more money. Try pistol. Okay. Okay. Then thank you guys. In order to switch guns, I have to click number 1 and 2. My fingers does not reach. Okay, we'll see. We'll try again. We'll try again. Okay. We'll try again. We'll try again. Okay. I know what to hit him. I have to hit him mid gun action. Oh, that's what I said. Mid stream. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, this is terrible. This is so bad. So bad. Okay, so bad. Okay. 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 Just lose your feet. I get it. Oh my god. I hate that so much. Okay. Why does he hit multiple times? I hate that. Okay. Okay, that almost fucking killed me. Okay. Why do you turn around? Look at that ass. Okay. Okay, I got this. Turn around! Why do you do that? Oh my god! Oh, they won't let me switch while I'm reloading. Maybe pistol is my... Oh my god, maybe pistol is my main gun. Oh shit! Oh. No way. Can I just beat him with a pistol? Long range? I feel like the shotgun, I have to go closer. What? He just ran closer to me! Oh my god. Okay! Fuck the pistol! F the pistol! I mean, F the shotgun, F the shotgun! We're pistol only here, okay? I knew it! I knew the pistol was... I knew the pistol was my main gun. I knew it, okay. Oh, we're just gonna grab some ammo. The hat pass! Thank you! so sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to yell at you guys. I'm not yelling at you guys, okay? I'm yelling at myself. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Okay. So what if I just keep my eye on him? He hits me all the time. Oh my god. But I feel like I'm running, but I'm not fucking running. Is it just me? I feel so fucking slow. What? Okay. I gotta go closer to the edge, right? Oh my god. I gotta get out of this freaking long ass range sword. This guy is holding a freaking cloud sword. That shit is like twice his body size. Oh my god. Fucking trying to get away! Oh my god. Get away! Oh my god. My fingers are fucking cramping! My fingers are fucking cramping! God. I better not die here, I better not fucking die here, oh my god. Oh my god. Run. Fucking run! 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 Oh my god. Stop shooting them! I hate you so much! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Go to the ground, you little shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Get fucking teabag! Jesus Christ! My back hurts. Clam slam him. Oh my god. That was so difficult. Holy damn. That was too difficult. What is this? One gold. Oh. Okay, can I leave now? Goodness gracious. Can I take your sword? Look at that. Look at that freaking long ass sword. And no, I'm not talking about his freaking smooth. Dude, look at that long ass freaking sword. Can I steal it? Holy shit. What is going on? The fact that you won with a pistol instead of a shotgun. It's a sign. It's a sign. Nice. Remember, investigators successfully escaped and destroyed all the eggs of the evil spirit encounter, doing everything in his power to prevent the spread of the evil forces. However, in the hidden corner, an undiscovered evil spirit and quietly waits to hatch. This is so much reading. Master pistol, handgun. Handgun, it is in it. It is! I'm glad she didn't read more and read only a little bit. What do you mean? Normal ending. Yeah, this is a normal ending. She's a normie, confirmed. I'm like, no, I'm not normie. I'm not a normie. Main menu. Oh god. Damn. That was tough. What is this? What is continue to? Extra content? What the hell is this? Level 94. Unlock after past any ending. What? Past any ending? Did I not do any ending? Wait, what is continue to? What is continue to? Am I? Oh, is this? Is that it? Do I just have to wait for the next part? If there is gonna be a next part? Part 2? Normal ending. Alright. Cool. Shit, who is dying in the background? Who is dying in the background? What do you mean, who's dying in the background? The mannequins? The mannequins? Aren't you glad I suggest this to you? Yes. There were sirens? Honestly, I didn't hear anything. I have like my noise cancelling headphones on. So any like surround sound is like cancel out because, you know, I have noise cancelling headphones on. You know? Because, you know, when you have noise cancelling headphones on, it cancels the noises in the background. Because that's what noise cancelling headphones are for. Don't you know? You should do a lot of research about noise cancelling headphones. Oh god. Anyways. Fuck. There's no for this. What? There's no A for the periodic table? Oh god. There was a scream before the siren. You didn't hear it? No, I didn't hear it. Was there a scream? Oh, sorry. That was just my maiden. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, is that me? You know, I was thinking of putting on the reindeer horns for Christmas again. This December. That's because Susan. You guys are lying to me. You guys are lying to me. That's it. I'm out of water, guys. What a... Sirens might have been near me and not you. Ah, see? So you're a liar. Anyways, guys. You know, I think this is a great spot to end, right? 3 hours? That's pretty good. Thank you for the reading. Should I find someone to raid? Who is online? Is Kenny still streaming? Oh shit, he is. Should I just raid Kenny? Yeah, let's raid Kenny. Kenny been streaming for like 15 hours now. This guy is insane. Oh yeah, this is my raid message. My raid message is copy and paste. I forgot about that. Thank you for the redeems. Raid iced Kenny. He's playing Crab Champions with Mossy. Oh. All right. Thank you everyone for coming by. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for staying with me. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for the raise. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the yada yada. Thank you all for coming by. Hope you have a great day. Have a great stream. Hopefully I'm gonna do another stream in a couple of days. Hopefully, I don't know when. I don't know. I'm spontaneous. I like to do things randomly because I'm lazy and I'm impulsive. Anyways, thank you everyone for coming by. Next stream, I will probably do our stream or I'll probably start the Evil Within. One of the two. Or maybe I'll do both. Art and then the Evil Within. We'll see. Anyways, thank you all for coming by. Make sure you hit that like button below, subscribe, comment down below what your favorite One Piece characters and anyways, I'm just kidding. Anyways, bye bye guys. See you guys later. See you later, alligators. Make sure you lock your doors, lock your window, like, close it, cause I'm gonna like